You're listening to the Tigers Den Podcast. New episodes dropping every Monday at 3:30 p.m. Central Time, available to stream across all platforms. Also, be sure to check out Play Callers. New episodes dropping every Tuesday at 3:30 p.m. Central Time, available to stream across all platforms. Hello and welcome back to the Tigers Den. I know it's been a while, took a little Christmas break off to, enjoy opening some presents, celebrating, Christ's birthday, and then enjoying the New Year's as well. But we're going to get into it. There is a lot to cover on today's episode. First and foremost, national championship. It all comes down to this. It's happening tonight whenever y'all are listening to it. But as we're recording this, it's happening tomorrow. We're going to talk about everything to do with that game. Also, the NFL going into the wild card next week. We're going to talk about some of the best matchups and who we think could make a run to the Super Bowl. And also, there were some upsets, including one that made all of us happy. Not really an upset, but kind of a blowout, historic blowout, in fact, that made all of us happy. All of that and more today on the Tigers Den. But let's go and get started, as we always do, with your boy Reese Kinder and the weekend rundown. Reese, go ahead and run down the weekend for them.
This is the weekend rundown. All right, how's it going, everybody? Playoff clinching this week for the NFL, and there was a lot of scenarios going into this weekend. There is a game on right now, so that plays a big factor in the playoffs as well. But there was one big scenario with the NFC South. If the Falcons beat the Saints or the Buccaneers lost to the Panthers, the Falcons would win. Or if the Saints won and the Packers lost, it was crazy. The Buccaneers ended up taking the NFC South easily. They won 9-0. Three field goals today. So
yeah.
And then
it was a tough day for your boy.
Yeah, for the Saints.
Talking about the fan.
No playoffs day.
Yes.
No playoffs for Bud.
If y'all saw Taylor's Instagram account, you'll see that he posted the Saints not making the playoffs. Just for whatever reason. But the Saints, didn't make the playoffs. It's tough because honestly, I got my hopes up after we beat the Falcons, beat them down actually, maybe a little too much according to Arthur Smith. But and then the Bears, it's tough when you're coming to the last week of play, and it's our fault because we lost some games that we shouldn't have lost, including a Green Bay Packers loss earlier in the season when we were up by 20, and they came back to beat us. That one proved crucial today. But no, I mean, it's tough when you're coming into the last week of play and you need the Panthers, the Bears, and the Cardinals to get a win. And, those teams, you know how their seasons are going. So, but, I mean, it's tough, but I'm excited for next season. I feel like a lot of our wide receiver pieces are looking good. We're going to, obviously, I think we should trade Michael Thomas, try and get something out of him, because he's injury prone. But, yeah, we'll see what happens. Taylor, congratulations on your Cowboys making it to the playoffs. But, so tough day for the Saints, but, it is what it is. We move.
Yeah, and then another tough day. It's a tough day to be a Jaguars fan, too,
Oh, my gosh.
I don't know how they lose to the Titans. Like, that's very sad.
Bro, Derrick Henry, did y'all see that speech that Derrick Henry gave?
I think he's definitely
thank
leaving.
you, Titans fans, for the past 8 years.
So he's officially leaving, like he's gone?
Well, I think he's a free agent, so I think he wants to leave.
Yeah, he definitely, nobody wants to. I don't even know why DeAndre Hopkins wanted to go to the Titans.
Yeah.
That made no sense.
I think Derrick Henry will sign with a team that's,
contending,
like the Chiefs or something like that.
Oh, you're saying he'll be able to sign, like for this year's playoffs?
No.
Next year.
Okay.
He won't be in a Titans uniform next year.
Yeah, no, he'll probably sign with somebody like the Chiefs, or he might go.
Dude, if he signs with the Chiefs,
he could go to the Cowboys. Honestly,
that's one I saw earlier in the season because there was a whole saga with him during the trade deadline. Like, oh, is he going to get traded? I heard the Buccaneers being thrown around.
The Vikings.
I feel like the Buccaneers now believe in Rachaad White.
Yeah,
and the Cowboys believe in Pollard too much.
Yeah, Rachaad White is he's young, second year in the NFL this year.
I guess that's the Chiefs with Pacheco too, so it would be.
The Vikings. The Vikings might try to get him because the Vikings don't.
I would
have
say the Bills or the Dolphins, to be honest. The two teams that are playing right now.
I know, but what about James Cook though? James Cook is he's there.
I would say definitely the Dolphins more than the Bills.
Yeah. If there had to be a top 5 for me personally,
dude, imagine A-Chain and Derrick Henry in the backfield, bro.
Dude, that would be. And is Mostert? I think Mostert's gonna go somewhere if he's a free agent. But either way,
Mostert needs to come to the Panthers.
Bro.
No
one's gonna sign with the Panthers.
Y'all need some wide receivers. That's what I'll say. DJ Chark keeps fumbling in the end zone, but
the only good one or decent one is Adam Thielen because he's like the third or fourth 33-year-old to get like I think 100+ catches in a season and 1,000.
Got 1,000 yards, yeah.
Yeah, best wide receiver in the NFL. Best white guy, but no, sucks for the Jags because I saw this thing on Ghetto Gronk, which if you don't follow Ghetto Gronk, go follow him on Instagram. Literally the best NFL meme page. But talking about the Jaguars entered the game against the Steelers. They were 8-3, and they like taunted them with the terrible towel on the field and stuff when they were beating them. After that game, they went. I think it was. Wait, what are they today? They went 1-5 after that, and then choked out of the playoffs. So I remember us including them in our top 10.
I never did.
Back then, so
well, they weren't. They had to have a lot of things happen to make the playoffs. Anyways, they basically had to have the Colts or Texans tie to make the playoffs.
Yeah, but either way,
that didn't happen.
Jaguars fan.
Yeah, which there's always next year, but Trevor Lawrence, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. What was that last throw, man? I saw that last.
Did you see the goal line dive that they called for him with a hurt shoulder? They called a goal line dive.
Yeah, I don't know, but no Duval going to the playoffs this year. So
I really would wish to see them in the playoffs, but sadly not. But a team I'm kind of worried about is honestly the Eagles.
I'll talk about that a little bit more later. But
okay. And then, the Seahawks could have made the playoffs too. That was kind of heartbreaking. Pete Carroll got a little too excited. He got a little too excited because he thought they made the playoffs. Can the Steelers still make it?
What Steelers are in? Yeah.
All right, so that should be fun to see. Well, actually, I don't know.
I think the Steelers are playing the Chiefs, maybe?
They're playing whoever the 2 seed is, so it'll be either the Bills or the Dolphins. Because the Bills beat the Chiefs, so they'll be ranked ahead of them. But the Steelers are getting bounced.
Well, I think if the Bills there's some weird scenario where if the Bills win, then the Steelers move up to 6 or something and play. Dude, they went into it on NBC for 20 minutes and it was so confusing.
I thought it was if if the Bills win, the Bills go up to the 2 seed, and then the Dolphins go to the 6 seed, and the Steelers go up to the 5 seed.
Yeah, I think that's what happened.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure it's based off head to head, and I think the Steelers have a better.
Okay. So I'm looking at it right now. Just going 7. We'll go 7-2. It's Steelers at 7 with their record is 10-7. Buffalo Bills at 10-6, Browns at 11-6 after their loss to the Bengals, Texans at 10-7, Chiefs at 11-6, and Dolphins at 11-5. So I think it's if the Bills lose to the Dolphins, they might finish at 7th because the Steelers have some sort of.
Yeah, if the Bills lose, they play at the Chiefs, and the Steelers go up to the 6th.
Yeah. So
I just want to go over some quick scenarios, just since the playoffs will start next week. Do y'all think the Texans possibly have a chance to make a little run to the?
We'll discuss more of that during Prize Picks, but I think if CJ Stroud keeps playing like he did against the Colts,
that was pretty good. I mean,
you never know what could happen. So
that pass to Nico Collins was insane.
Dude, that was
actually insane. But going away from NFL now, we're gonna go to college basketball. Happened on Saturday. Some great matchups. I think this was mainly the big start of conference play. This was the big shebang for it. So TCU and Kansas turned out to be a pretty good game. Hunter Dickinson got injured. I think it was with a minute to go. He got injured. But
yeah, I saw somebody got like smacked in the face. Was that Hunter Dickinson?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of glad he got smacked in the face.
Okay.
The refs give him too many calls, you know. But yeah, Kansas ended up. I think Kansas hit a buzzer beater against TCU. I'm pretty sure, or Hunter Dickinson might have made a basket like with a few seconds left to get them the win.
I'm seeing it right now. It says Hunter Dickinson's clutch bucket helps Kansas survive TCU. I mean, Kansas, you know, especially with there's only one undefeated team now in college basketball in Houston. I mean, you know, we'll see what happens. I mean, Big 12 is stacked. The Big 12 is stacked right now.
Yeah, well, Houston did play like West Virginia, so I mean
it handled business 89-55.
Yeah, we'll see what happens when they play like Kansas or Oklahoma or something like that.
Yeah, we'll see.
But then, you know, speaking of undefeated teams, Ole Miss was undefeated before the Tennessee matchup, and then Tennessee just like came out of the second half, and I remember it was like halftime, and I turned it over there just to see the score, and it was 40-31, and I was like, okay, Ole Miss is actually staying in the game, and then I turned it off to watch the rest of the Steelers and Ravens, and then I just saw at the bottom it said like 64-40 something, and I was like, Ole Miss is done already.
Yeah, what's crazy is I did the exact same thing. I clicked away for like a second because they went into halftime. They were only down by like 9, like you said. And then I clicked back and they were down by 20. I was like, what the hell happened? Like,
I was like, Tennessee just absolutely killed them. So yeah, I still think Ole Miss is a decent team, but you know, Tennessee's they possibly could win the SEC. Honestly,
I don't know about that, but we'll see.
Don't say Kentucky's winning the SEC because Florida almost. Speaking of Kentucky, Florida almost beat them, but then somehow, Aaron Bradshaw hit a 3-pointer.
Yeah, the center who hadn't made a 3-pointer like all year. So
yeah,
you know, but hey. You know, Kentucky's going to be just fine. We know this. Year in and year out, they're going to be fine.
They always like lose. They lose a game they're not supposed to, and then they come out in SEC play, and then all of a sudden just they end up going insane.
Does Auburn play Kentucky?
Yes.
Oh yeah, they have to play everybody. I think.
We don't play Tennessee at home.
Ooh, that's going to be a huge game. That's going to be huge.
We play Kentucky at home, but we don't play Tennessee at home.
Oh. Kentucky will probably be game day, honestly. I wouldn't be surprised.
We don't play Ole Miss at home. Yes, we do. Never mind.
We play Ole Miss after A&M, I think.
Yeah, we play Ole Miss 2 times. But we only play Tennessee and Kentucky once.
Yeah. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, and then I just want to know what's going on with like Seton Hall. Seton Hall's going insane. Seton Hall won 78-75 against Marquette.
Hey, they got the old St. Peter's coach there, right? So I mean,
maybe I don't know. Seton Hall though, the Big East has already played 4 conference games. Seton Hall is 3-1 in Big East play. Yeah, they're I think they're not leading because UConn probably has more. But you know, Seton Hall I think beat who did they beat the other day?
They beat Marquette on Saturday, and then they beat Providence a couple days before. So
let me see. I swear they beat UConn.
You know, a lot of these. It's early on in the college basketball season. Seton Hall is going to be one of those teams that's going to make March Madness as like an 8 or 7 seed.
They did,
but they're going to be one of those teams like they're going to be an 8 or 7 seed, but they could have the opportunity to either get bounced out in the first round or make it all the way to like the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8. So I'm interested to see what they do.
I was right. Yeah, they did beat UConn. They beat them.
Wait,
yeah, they beat them.
Who? Seton Hall?
Yes, they beat them by 15 2 weeks later.
Going back to NFL, if the Bills win, it's Steelers at Bills and Dolphins at Chiefs. If Dolphins win, it's Bills at Dolphins and Steelers at Chiefs.
Yeah. Hey, what I'll say is it's awesome to see the NFL have this much, parity and like being this close. Obviously, being a fan who had a team that was going in this close, which is not how I'd prefer it. But, for the entire NFL, like for watching it, like watching the NFL today was actually it was some of the most fun I've had watching the NFL this season. So, in
Yeah.
recent years, especially on the last week. Because last year, I remember there was only like maybe 1 or 2 games that had any meeting in the NFL playoff picture. But this year was like there were so many. So.
Well, no, see, like I predicted most of these teams. Like I like to predict early in the season what the records will be by the end of the season, and I think I got most of these right because, I said the Packers would go 9-8 and make the playoffs, and I ended up getting that one right. So I mean, it.
Yeah,
I think I
I
had the
couldn't say
Steelers. I think I had the Steelers going 10-7 as
I couldn't
well.
say I did the same thing. I mean, on the ESPN fantasy app, I did there's like a thing where you pick over under like how many wins you think a team's going to get in the season, and I
Yeah,
got most of them wrong, I'm not going to lie. So, I mean, but we're at playoff time, so all the teams, I like what D'Amico Ryans, I saw him after the Texans Colts game, what he said to his team was all we needed was the opportunity. Now everybody is 0-0. It's the playoffs.
yeah,
So, I mean, if you keep winning and you keep winning, you can see yourself at the top. So, I mean, that's what's exciting about it. So, I'm
yeah.
excited.
Well, now I'm gonna get back into college basketball, but North Carolina Clemson played Saturday. We were at B Dubs watching a little bit of that. I think we got there at the end of it. North
Yeah.
Carolina ended up taking over those last 2 or 3 minutes. Clemson, to me, it just looked like Clemson couldn't find an open shot. And I think Taylor, didn't you say is it DJ Hall?
Or you're talking about PJ Hall?
PJ Hall, yeah.
He fouled out.
He fouled out. Yeah, you said he fouled out. That probably is why Clemson ended up losing the game. Because he's one of the star players on Clemson. So
I don't,
yeah,
I don't, I don't know. I mean, these teams like North Carolina, Kansas, Kentucky. I mean, the blue blood teams. I feel like this is the part of the season where they play these. I wouldn't say lower conference opponents because Clemson was ranked 16th going into that game, but it's just
yeah.
like we watched that game and you could tell that North Carolina was just better than them at in terms of size,
Well, I
in
mean,
terms of speed.
they out
you know.
rebounded them by a big margin. Like
Exactly.
it was
So that's
bad.
what I'm saying. I mean, come March, we'll see what happens. But right now, I feel like in these type of games, if the game's close towards the end, those teams with the bigger guys are going to get it. But
Yeah. And then another upset. I didn't even realize this was an upset at first, but Cincinnati
yeah,
upset BYU. Cincinnati, I didn't realize was 12-2, and first year in the Big 12 basketball. So I mean, we'll see as the season goes on. Like some of these teams that joined from the American Athletic Conference, we'll see how good they are at basketball. I mean, obviously Houston is, but
yeah.
BYU's all right. Cincinnati, they've made the tournament a few times before. And then who else joined from that conference? I think it was
There's UCF.
yeah,
UCF.
UCF. UCF, I don't think's good at
I mean,
this
going
year.
back to my point about the Big 12, I mean, they are stacked this year. I mean, you got Houston, obviously, who's 14-0, number 3 in the country. Obviously, they're going to change the rankings, come Monday or Tuesday. I don't know when they release. But you got Kansas, you got
I'd say
Oklahoma.
Houston should be number one.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get to that in top 10, but Oklahoma, Baylor, BYU ranked at 12. Obviously, they got beat by Cincinnati, but then you got Cincinnati, Texas Tech, who I know you're going to get to. They beat Texas,
Yeah,
and then you obviously got Texas, TCU. I mean, just a lot of these teams, especially I think a lot of it has to do with the transfer portal. Now, we don't want to be here all day, so I'm not going to get too deep into it. But I think a lot of these players, like for example, in football, you see Malachi Nelson going to Boise State the other day. In college basketball, you see this way more often, where you see these, really good players that didn't get a lot of time at a Power 5 school go to the smaller schools or smaller Power 5 schools,
yeah,
and they'll pop off. So
yeah. And then Colorado State. We talked about them. I think last semester. I don't know what's wrong with
they
them.
are
Yeah,
terrible.
they
I
just
mean,
said the easiest
just
conference.
fell off the face of the earth, man. And I mean, it sucks because they were looking so good at the beginning of the season. But
And whoever still considers FAU a contender is absolutely
uh,
dumb. Like because FAU beats somebody like Arizona and then comes out and loses to a 7-7 Charlotte team.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the crazy thing. It's crazy how it works. Colorado State and Florida Atlantic. Colorado State, they got that big win against Creighton, and Florida Atlantic got that big win against Arizona. Everybody was like oohing and ahhing, but Arizona's lost a lot recently, fell out of the top 10, and Creighton's not even ranked anymore. So those wins are proven to be a little bit fraudulent.
Yeah,
if I do say so myself.
And then, like you said earlier, Texas Tech upset Texas at Texas. That was kind of a surprise. I will expect Texas Tech to be put in the top 25 come
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember that Texas Tech team that made it all the way to the national championship the year that Auburn made it to the Final Four. And I mean, great basketball program. I think their coach has been there for a while too, which always helps.
They made the tournament last year too, I think, and they ended up making it to the second round. They've made it like 6 times in the past, like, I think 7 or 8 years.
Yeah, but looking at it now, there were a couple more upsets this weekend too.
Yeah, like Creighton beat Providence at Creighton.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'll expect Creighton to be put back in. I think unless they lost someone they weren't supposed to early in the week, and then that's gonna do it for weekend rundown because
Wait, can we talk about one more?
Yeah.
How about them Tigers, them Auburn Tigers going to Arkansas, Bud Walton, and not only beating the snot out of the Razorbacks, but beating them historically. That's the biggest loss ever, like conference, non-conference ever that Arkansas has had in Bud Walton Arena. I mean, Auburn's looking good, y'all. I mean, Auburn's looking good. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, no, we were really scared that they were going to lose. So, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, but, Chad Baker, Mazzara.
Our upcoming schedule is it's Texas A&M, LSU, Vanderbilt, Ole Miss, Bama, Mississippi State.
Well, me and Taylor will be at that Texas A&M game on Tuesday. So
I don't think we'll lose to Texas A&M after that performance.
I sure hope not.
I say that and then we lose.
Yeah, no, I remember last year when I went, they got blown out by A&M. So hopefully I'm not a bad luck charm, but we'll see what happens.
And then real quick, one last one. What is wrong with Memphis? Memphis played today, so
I mean they won
by 3 to SMU.
I mean, yeah,
they played Tulsa Friday night, played Tulsa Friday night and almost lost.
Well, I mean, it's another one of those, superstar coach teams. I don't want to bring up another team, similar to it, but let's just go ahead and bring it up. I think this is similar to Coach Prime at Colorado, Penny Hardaway at Memphis, this superstar coach where he can get his team up, super hyped for some big games, but when it comes to those smaller games, they underperform.
Which they have.
You're seeing that recently. I mean, they barely escaped SMU, barely escaped Tulsa, barely escaped Vanderbilt. But they still have wins over teams like Clemson, teams like A&M, Virginia. Beat Virginia by 23. So, Arkansas. But, I mean, we'll see. I mean, they'll be topsy-turvy, but, we'll see once they play. They actually don't have a tough schedule. I mean, the rest of the season.
No, they got UTSA, Wichita State, South Florida, Tulane, UAB, Rice, Wichita State, Temple, Tulane, North Texas, SMU, Charlotte. I would say
going through the whole schedule.
Their toughest opponents probably FAU or it's FAU at home or FAU away, which is the last game of the season.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with the Tigers.
All right, but that's gonna do it for weekend rundown.
All right, great weekend rundown, Reese, and now we're gonna get into something smells up in here. We're gonna get to Taylor's trash can. Taylor, go ahead and take it away.
Straight from the garbage disposal, this is Taylor's Trash Can.
All right, so welcome back to the best segment on this podcast. I know it's been a very long time, almost a whole month, but since we last recorded on December 10th of last year, when that last episode was released, there has been an NFL team that has gone 1-3. Losing to 3 teams that are not in the playoffs, and 2 of those being 6 wins or less. This team was also looking to become a 2 seed in the playoffs this season and get their momentum, going into the playoffs for that matchup. But Their star wide receiver, who is at the top of the league in every stat, got his knee destroyed and easily could not play in future weeks. This team is none other than the Dirty Birds from Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Eagles. On the offensive side, their fraudulent quarterback, Jalen Hurts, has thrown 5 interceptions in the past 4 games. He hasn't been accurate with the ball at all, with incompletions baffling the fans every game and then booing him off the field. This team started out 10-1 through 11 weeks, and then they went 1-5 while playing some of the top teams in San Francisco and Dallas. And those games weren't even close. They lost to the Niners 42-19, and personally the best team in the NFL, the Dallas Cowboys, 33-13. On the defensive side, this team allowed Drew Lock to torch them on a Monday Night Football game the last time we uploaded an episode and get a game-winning touchdown to Tyler Lockett. And then they allowed Tyrod Taylor to almost mount an insane comeback in the second half, and then Kyler Murray to throw for 3 touchdowns and 232 yards as the Cardinals beat the Eagles. But don't even get me started on this run defense, because it is absolutely tormenting to watch. They allowed Saquon Barkley 2 touchdowns today and a few in that prior Giants game, and Saquon has just been off all season. And then they made James Conner look like a top 5 running back with 100-plus yards and a touchdown. With the amount of weapons this team has and the coaching that they have, it baffles all NFL fans how bad they have been. And now, going into a loaded NFC playoff race and having to play a surging Buccaneers team who we just talked about finishing 5-1 and clinching that home wildcard game with their stellar defense. If the Eagles win that, then they'll have to more than likely play the 2 teams that they lost to in the Niners and the Cowboys, or the surging Lions. Even if A.J. Brown comes back, I just think this team is a roasting dumpster fire and has absolutely no prayer for the playoffs ahead of them. With the way they're playing, they look worse than any team in the NFL on defense and offense. And now rumors are saying Hurts messed up his finger pretty bad, so he might not even play. For the Eagles, they'll lose first round or easily second round. What do y'all think about the Eagles?
Well, I think this is a good pick for a trash can because something stinks. I mean, something smells with this team. I mean, like, you start the season off, like you said, 10-1, and then in your last 6 games, you have not looked good at all. I mean, not even in their win against the Giants. Like, they almost lost that game in a game where, you know, obviously the game today, you could say, oh, you know, their starters weren't playing the entire game or something like that. But that game against the Giants at home, you know, you barely win by 8. There was a missed pass interference call late in that game. And so, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if you're the Eagles. I mean, going into, I mean, we'll break down their upcoming, you know, matchup against Tampa Bay in Tampa. But I don't know if they'll win that, you know. I mean, like, Jalen Hurts doesn't look like himself. And I was actually saying this going back to their loss against the Jets. I mean, Jalen Hurts, if you watch that interception where they lost against the Jets, the game-sealing interception that he threw, I mean, it was not a good pass. Not a good read, not a good pass. And, I mean, I don't know, because Jalen Hurts, he's not a guy that'll wow you with his arm. I mean, we all saw the Hail Mary throw in last year's Super Bowl. I mean, you know, he's not a gunslinger, but, you know, his accuracy is usually what holds him together, and that hasn't even been around recently. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, he's worked himself out of an MVP conversation, and the Eagles have worked themselves out of a, you know, number 1 overall seed in the NFC. So, but, you know, yeah, I something stinks in the air, and Nick Sirianni, he's got to figure it out.
Yeah, really, a few weeks ago, I thought the Eagles were possibly Super Bowl contenders when they were 10-1, but like this is honestly unacceptable.
A few weeks ago, we all had them at 1 in our rankings.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think the problem is though, like you're playing these weaker teams, and I think like the guys are not getting up for the games, and I think that they just think that these teams are just gonna be like, oh yeah, we're not gonna try against the Eagles because the Eagles are so good, and then they're gonna just play however they want. And that's why Jalen Hurts has thrown, like, I think, so many interceptions in the past few games. It's unreal.
Yeah, he's thrown 5 in 4 games.
Yeah, today
Bro looks like Josh Allen out there.
He threw 2 today, I think.
Yeah, I would agree with the take that the Eagles players aren't getting up for big games, and that's why they're losing. Except for the fact that their first 2 losses in this 5 out of 6 game, losing streak, their first 2 games were against the 49ers, which was a big primetime game,
I just think that's
back
because
for
the
the 1
49ers
seed,
had a good
and then
defense.
at the Cowboys, who's not only your rival but a team that you knew back then was trying to, get to where you were in your division. Now they beat you in that division. So, and they lost to both those teams by 20 plus. So,
Yeah.
I don't know about it. Like I'm basically doing the shrug emoji right now. I mean, because I don't know this team, with talent, and I'm worried also because that AJ Brown injury. Obviously, he hasn't been playing good recently, but still, is he for sure not going to be playing next week?
They don't know yet. They haven't. They won't announce it for a while.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, if he's gone, I mean, you're gonna have to rely on Devontae Smith, and then your next best, I guess, is Julio Jones. So I mean, you weren't lacking in these losses against the Cardinals and the Giants. You weren't lacking in talent, obviously, and I think there's something up with the coaching, and we're gonna see what happens with them in the playoffs.
All I'm gonna say is the Eagles are 5-4 on the road. Not a very good record, so we'll
Yeah.
see what happens in Tampa Bay. But that's gonna do it for Taylor's Trash Can, and we're gonna go to Max talking about the most obvious main matchup pick of all time.
Yeah.
Get your popcorn ready. It's time for Max's main matchup.
Yeah, surprise, it's the national championship. Tomorrow, obviously we're going to save our picks for prize picks, but I'm just going to break down the keys to this game. First of all, number 2 Washington Huskies, undefeated, going up against the number 1 Michigan Wolverines in the Texans home stadium, NRG Stadium, tomorrow night at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. When you're listening to this, it'll be tonight. But I mean, coming in this game, Michigan is currently a 5.5-point favorite, as well as a 74.3% chance to win this game, according to ESPN. Gosh, guys, this is it, fellas. Like I said in the opening, it comes down to this: the last 2 teams standing, the only 2 undefeated teams left.
I just hate that college football is going to end.
What'd you say, Reese?
I said I hate college football is going to end now.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Another,
I mean, yeah, but what I'll say is, if there was one game, for the season to go out on, it's got to be this game. I can't wait for this game. I was talking to Taylor at lunch the other day, and I'll keep this brief, but basically what I told him was, if you're a football fan, and I mean a true football fan, like we are, and you understand the sport, and more importantly, you love the sport, this is the game for you. It's the best defense in Michigan versus the best offense in Washington. I mean, the schemes on this game, first of all, the game planning that these 2 teams are cooking up is going to be absolutely insane. But some quick keys to the game for both of these teams. On Michigan, on defense, you need to make Washington's offense one-dimensional. I mean, if Washington is able to run the ball, which I saw something the other day that Dylan Johnson should be able to play, but he is getting limited reps going into it, so we'll see how effective he is in the run game. But if they're able to run the ball, then Michael Penix Jr. will literally be able to slice up Michigan's secondary with ease. It will be a death by 1,000 cuts, basically. But on offense, if you're the Wolverines, you got to be able to run the ball, which I have no doubt about. I mean, they were able to run it against Bama, who had one of the best run defenses coming into that game. And you saw how much Texas was able to run the ball against Washington. So running the ball is not going to be a problem. But J.J. McCarthy is going to have to be able to not only have his best game, but also his most sound game. Obviously, against Bama, in my opinion, I think that Michigan won that game against Bama in spite of J.J. McCarthy. I think there were a couple throws that were way late, way off target. I mean, you saw the first throw of the game, which I keep repeating to everybody, Roman Wilson's wide open. This is a scripted play. Jim Harbaugh scripts his first 10 plays usually to start out the game. Most coaches do. And he just missed the read, and it was almost an interception at the start of the game. So, I mean, he's going to have to, no turnovers, because you cannot give, Michael Penix Jr. more chances than he's allowed. But, yeah, if a guy's wide open, he better be able to hit him. Because if not, they're going to be giving the Huskies the ball back. And then for the Huskies on defense, you need to be able to get to get J.J. McCarthy out of the pocket and make him make these tough throws. Because against Bama, that was Bama's best defense against him, was get him off of his spot. Because if he had time, he was hitting most of his throws. Obviously, you go to the throw at the end, towards the end of the game, end of regulation to Roman Wilson on the boundary to get them into the red zone. But, if you're able to get him out of the pocket, I'm sure that he'll possibly make some mistakes. But also, you need to try and limit, like I said, the Wolverines will be able to run the ball. I have no doubt about it. But if you're Washington, you need to make it to where Blake Corum's runs are just in little spurts rather than large chunks. And then on offense for the Huskies, even though you are the best offense in the country, Michael Penix Jr. needs to understand that this is a defense that is not only disciplined and smart, but they are, by the way, the best defense in all of college football this year. And that being said, he will need to be willing to go down the field slowly rather than just trying to chuck it up downfield to Rome Odunze or Jalen McMullen or Jalen Polk. Because that's not going to be available. This secondary for Michigan might be one of the best I've seen in, the last couple of years. Mike Sanders still. I forget the other guy's name. But this Michigan defense is legit. That's what I'm saying. So, and I know that Jim Harbaugh is going to want to stop Washington from going down the field quickly and then just giving the ball back to Michigan, instantly. So, we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm excited for this game, like I've already said, but we're going to save our win, who we think is going to win, for Prize Picks. But for right now, I just want to hear from y'all too, who y'all think or what the X factors for both teams going into this game is, because this game is surely to be a good one.
I'll go ahead and say in the Pac-12, watching, Oregon games all the time, the Pac-12 plays a lot of zone defense. Michael Penix Jr., one of the greatest quarterbacks we've ever seen reading zone defense. But in the Big Ten, they play man. They man those cornerbacks up on the top receivers. And Rome Odunze is going to have a hard day going up against Michigan's cornerback one, Mike Sandristel. He has 5 interceptions on the season, leading the Michigan Wolverines, and Will Johnson, 2 very scouting players. I mean, Washington is not used to man defense. I'm sure they've been watching it in film, but they haven't gotten a lot of experience against it. They got a little bit against Texas, but Big Ten defense, I don't know if Washington's ready for it. That's all I'm going to say.
That's a fair point.
I think, honestly, for Washington, I think it's...
Yeah, Reese, you still there? Brother.
My bad, it cut out. Sorry.
You're good.
Cut out.
Just start over from...
For Washington... Yeah, I think for Washington, I think it just comes down to Michael Penix having a good game, finding his open targets. Last game against Texas, had some unreal throws. His receivers were able to ball. And, I think for Michigan, it just comes down to having that good defense, because Michigan against Alabama did something that Auburn didn't do against Alabama, which was Michigan rushed 4 people instead of just, keeping 3 there. They rushed 4, which did end up working for them, and they were able to sack Milroe plenty of times. So if Michigan can do that and keep their defense up, I think Michigan wins.
I wanna say something for Michigan as well. I forgot. Michigan has to tackle on initial contact with these Washington receivers. Washington, just like Oregon, loves to give Michael Penix easy throws, easy screen passes, draw it up, 5-yard pass, 3-yard pass right down the field. And Rome Odunze, I mean, probably half of his yards are after contact. So Michigan has to be able to get out. They have to be able to lock up these guys, tackle on the initial contact. And if they do that, they could very easily win.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting to see, like I said, whenever this game gets to Washington's offense versus Michigan's defense, I mean, that's going to be the best college football you're going to see, like, basically all year. I mean, the players, the future NFL stars, whenever those two sides are playing at the same time, it's just going to be amazing to watch. But like I said, I'm excited to see this game. We're going to pick who we think is going to come out victorious later in Prize Picks. But that's going to do it for main matchup. And now we're going to get into one of everybody's favorite segments, especially after, it was recently added in one of our later episodes. top 10 with your boy Reese Kinder.
Who's first, who's last, and who's in between? This is Top 10. All right, today we're just going to do college basketball top 10. We haven't done that.
Sure.
I don't think we've done that in a long time. It's been a pretty long time since we've
We
been
haven't recorded in a long time.
Yeah. But I'll get started with my top 10. I'm going to go from 10 to 1. So I'm just going to get started. And I'm going to say at number 10, I got Illinois. Illinois played close with Purdue. It was a great game. I think that game was Wednesday or Thursday. But, Illinois, I think has a chance to make a little run in March. But, I think they could possibly win the Big Ten as well if they can get past Purdue. But that's my 10. My 9 is gonna surprise y'all. It's Duke, because Duke has played some. They've played some top.
Brother has some bias.
Whoa. Okay, so they've played some top 10, top 15 teams in the. They played like Baylor a few months ago. I think it was like last month, and then they played Arkansas, and they've played a few top 10 teams this season. But they've lost. I think they've lost 2 top 10 matchups. But still, I think this Duke team has a lot of potential, especially with Kyle Filipowski. I think they still have a chance to win the ACC. We'll see later down the road if they can. But that's my 9, and then my 8 is Oklahoma. Oklahoma is my 8. I know y'all don't agree with that, but I think Oklahoma has a chance. There's a chance they can make a run in the Big 12 tournament if they can get past Kansas and Houston. And I think that Oklahoma has probably one of the best three-point shooting teams in college basketball this year. That is my 8. My 7 is Tennessee. Tennessee,
What? Okay.
Tennessee has they have a few top 25 wins this year. And they recently just blew out Ole Miss. I think there's a chance they could possibly win the SEC or go pretty far in the SEC tournament. And then my number 6 is North Carolina. We watched them at B-Dubs, and North Carolina is no joke. They have a lot of good potential, like R.J. Davis, Armando Bacot. He's been there 80 years, but still. But yeah, North Carolina is my 6. And then my 5 is Kentucky, which Max mentioned earlier he thinks could possibly win the SEC. Which honestly I agree. Kentucky could possibly win it as well. Kentucky has a lot of talent, but we'll have to see, because they did recently just play close with Florida. And then my 4, I think I've had this team at my 4 like almost every, like the last time we did college basketball. I think I had UConn at 4. So UConn is my 4. They really haven't. They lost to Seton Hall. That's gonna happen. You're not gonna win every game, but I still think UConn could possibly win the Big East pretty easily. And then my number 3 is Kansas. The reason I put Kansas at 3 is because they that close game with TCU, and I still think Kansas is good, but they kind of worry me a little bit sometimes when they play close to a team like TCU. And then my number 2 is Purdue. Purdue's been playing great all season. Zach Edey looks great. I think me and Max were talking the other day. We were talking about how Purdue possibly could make it pretty far in March Madness if they have everybody healthy and they don't lose to a 16 seed. And then my number 1 is the last remaining undefeated team in college basketball, Houston. Houston's been playing amazing this year. I wonder if they can keep it up. I hope they can keep it up. I just honestly want to see a team go undefeated, like when Gonzaga almost went undefeated that one year for the whole entire season. But that is my top 10, and what are you guys' top 10s?
All right, so I'm going to start off with my number 10 team. And my number 10 team, I'm not going to lie, you said that their win today, obviously they, barely survived. But I'm going to say Memphis. I'm going to say Memphis whenever they're on their best game.
Yeah.
I think that Memphis can beat anybody. I mean, they blew out a decent Virginia team by 23 on the road.
Yeah.
So I think this Memphis team, they have the talent. Obviously, it's just a question of discipline. I mean, Penny Hardaway has some, experience in the past with players being in drama and stuff like that. Especially with a young team like this. We'll see what happens with that. But give me Memphis at my number 10 spot. And then at number 9, I'm going to have to go with Duke, the Duke Blue Devils. Like you said, I feel like Duke has played a tough schedule. Obviously, they got 3 losses, but they also got huge wins like the one against Baylor, like earlier in the season when they beat Michigan State, who obviously hasn't had the greatest start to the season. But give me Duke at number 9. Number 8, I'm going to go with Oklahoma. I agree with you, Reese. I think this Oklahoma team is legit. And I think Taylor brought up a good point the other day when we were at B-Dubs as well. It was when he saw that Oklahoma, I can't remember if it was that they weren't favored against Iowa State at home or there was just it was like a close betting line. But, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. I think a lot of people are doubting this Oklahoma team just because the way they play. If you watch Oklahoma play at all this year, they are very they'll pound the rock inside. They got a big man. I can't remember what his name is. I'm looking at it right now. Their big man, John Hughley. John Hughley, they'll pound the rock inside with him, and then they'll also get it outside to Atega Owe and Javian McCollum. But, they kind of remind me, minus the 3-point shooting, they kind of remind me of that Auburn team that made a Final Four. That's why I'm so excited about them because they'll really – actually, sorry, I'm going back on my word a lot, but last time, what they more of remind me of? They remind me of that Isaac Okoro Auburn team during COVID year that would just, drive in the lane, 9 times out of 10 and score. So give me the Oklahoma Sooners at number 8. Number 7, I got to go with North Carolina. The Tar Heels, the very talented Armando Bacot, RJ Davis, both been in college since Silly Bandsman style. But, give me North Carolina at 7. They got a lot of talent, and they got a lot of experience this year, which I think might come in handy come March. And then number 6, I got UConn. UConn's one of those teams that I'm kind of questioning, especially after that 15-point loss to Seton Hall, a team that's, not currently ranked. But, I mean, this Huskies team, when you talk about talent, pure talent on a team, now I understand Donovan Clingan, their center, he's been hurt recently. I don't know when he's expected to come back, but that's a huge piece. They got talented freshmen, on the court as well. But give me UConn at 6. I think they're a team that could go as far as to the Final Four, or they could be bounced out in the first round. So give me UConn at 6. At number 5, I got Kentucky. Going into that Florida game, there were, I think you said this, Reese, going into that Florida game, the betting odds were actually against Kentucky.
Yeah.
For Florida, which you disagreed with. I actually kind of agree with it. Not only is Florida, they played decent this year and beaten decent teams, but, playing in their home stadium is a tough place to play at. I've seen Auburn go there countless of times, and, they'd be a much better team, much higher ranked team than the Gators, and they'd lose. So Kentucky able to come out with a scrappy win, and that's something you don't see a lot, especially with these young freshman teams. I think their top 8 players are all freshmen. So give me Kentucky at number 5, high ceiling for this team. And then number 4, give me the Tennessee Volunteers. I do think that come later in the season, this is a team that definitely could be higher. This is a very experienced Tennessee team. You talk about Zakai Ziegler, Santiago Vescovi, and then Dalton Connect, who's, the star that they got in the transfer portal from Northern Colorado. I'm pretty sure Northern Colorado. And Dalton Connect, superstar, but then you got those, experiences guys like Vescovi and Ziegler and Josiah Jordan-James that have been there before. I think they got a perfect balance. And I think this Volunteers team could easily be number 1 if it weren't for, these other teams that I'm about to list, starting with number 3, Kansas. This Kansas team, they got, basically when you get the number 1 overall draft pick on lottery night, in the NBA is what they got with Hunter Dickinson. This guy is just a dominating force kind of reminds me of a little bit of he's very similar to Zach Edey. I don't think either Zach Edey or Hunter Dickinson will be huge in the NBA, but I think they're just dominating forces in college just because of how experienced and how much bigger they are than everybody else on the floor. So give me Kansas at number 3. Number 2, I got Purdue. Speaking of Zach Edey, this Boilermakers team, I doubted them early on in the season, but recently, they've gone on a winning streak. They did almost lose to Illinois. They had a close scare against them, but with wins over teams like Arizona, Alabama, Illinois recently, who I would say they were my 11th team, right outside my top 10. But I think Purdue, this is a team that's, really good. Once again, a team that was very high seeded last year. They disappointed, obviously, losing to Farley Dickinson. But I think this is a high ceiling team as well. And the number one, obviously, like you, Reese, Houston, the only undefeated team right now. LJ Cryer, Jamal Shed, that entire team is just insanely experienced and really well coached. Give me this Cougars team to make a long run. I'm calling it right now. There's no way in my mind right now, watching this team play, that there's no way that they don't get to at least the Sweet 16, if not more. But give me this Cougars team as 1, and then Taylor, who do you got as your top 10 teams?
Number 10, I got a team that's been on the rise ever since they went. They actually went 1-2 in their first 3 games, lost to Tennessee and Providence, and then lost to Arizona before Arizona fell down. I got the Wisconsin Badgers at number 10, ranked number 21 in the AP poll currently, but I expect that to just soar up, led by AJ Storr and Stephen Crowell. They're leading top 2 scorers, and I just think they're on the rise right now. They recently beat Nebraska 88-72, and their next game is at Ohio State, so they can keep proving their worth in conference play in that stacked Big Ten. Then number 9, I got Illinois, like Reese said. They recently lost at Purdue, but it was a really close game, and given how good we're all ranking Purdue, this just proved that Illinois is a really good team. If they had a little bit more talent, they could have easily beat Purdue. So give me Illinois at number 9. Number 8, I got Arizona. Caleb Love got 23 points in their win against Utah. Their next game is at Wazoo, so watch out for that. Caleb Love, not the top weapon in Arizona, but one of the top ones. One of the biggest names in college basketball right now. Number 7, I got Memphis. We were talking about them. We're kind of scared about them. Great team, talent-wise. Like Max said, the discipline is just not there for these smaller games. Only beat Tulsa by 3 points. And their next game against SMU could be another trap game. They recently played SMU, barely beat them again. So, kind of worried about them. But, they'll get over it. Number 6, I got UConn. I have them a little bit lower than y'all just because, UConn has proved that they cannot beat the bigger teams, the teams that are ranked higher than them. But they looked good against Butler recently, and Alex Karabon had 20 points in that game, so watch out for him. And they play Xavier. And then, what number am I on? 5?
5.
And then number 5, I got Kentucky. Big win against Florida. That game, we were watching at B-Dubs. It was super close. Florida was winning almost the entire game. Then Kentucky just came out of nowhere. Antonio Reeves had a great game at the guard with 19 points. But they do go up against Missouri Tuesday. SEC is so... anyone can lose to anyone. Anyone can beat anyone. It's just very, random what team shows up what day. So, Kentucky, number 5. Number 4, I'm going to have to go with Tennessee. Recently blew out Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss was one of the most overrated teams in college basketball history. Just because they were undefeated, they didn't beat a single team that's in the top 50 in college basketball. But Tennessee, like you said, very veteran team. And their team is crazy because, all of them are not from the United States, it feels like. They're all from these random foreign countries that no one's ever heard of. And then number 3, I got Kansas. Hunter Dickinson had 30 points and 11 rebounds. He's just balling out right now for the Jayhawks. And when they barely beat TCU. TCU is a really good team, though. So watch out for TCU coming up. But Kansas, I mean, they're going to mollywop UCF on Wednesday. Kansas, very good team. Don't know any of their players except for Hunter Dickinson because I'm a casual. And then number 2, I'm gonna go Houston. I know they're undefeated, but they haven't proved to me that they can beat really, really good teams. And LJ Cryer balling out right now. The number 1, I got Purdue. Trey Caulfield Wren had 23 points in their win over Illinois. They beat a great Illinois team. And Zach Edey taking the lead by storm right now, playing great, looking better than he did at the beginning of the season with their 1 loss. But yeah, that's my top 10. Purdue number 1, and I think Purdue was my number 1 last time we did this. So
yeah, they were.
They're not like the Eagles choking.
Well, I mean, interesting top 10s by all 3 of us. Obviously, me and Reese agreeing on the Houston pick, but Taylor sticking with his guns and going with Purdue at 1 again. But now we're gonna quickly go to debate topic with Taylor Gottney, who, this is very new. It's even newer than top 10, the segment we just did. Obviously, last time we debated the playoffs. I'm excited to see. I don't even know, like y'all viewers, me and Reese don't even know what this debate topic is. So Taylor, go ahead and hit us with it.
Now this is where things could get a little bit heated. This is Taylor's debate topic.
So, I was watching my Cowboys play earlier. Shout out to them demolishing the Commanders. Dak Prescott had a great game with 4 touchdowns. But I was looking at a graphic that they made, and it was about Coach of the Year. Very close award. And they had 5 people on there. They had Kevin Stefanski, D'Amico Ryan, Dan Campbell, Kyle Shanahan, and the Colts coach, which they took the Colts coach out of the graphic later because Greg Olson's the one that talked about it. But I want to see y'all's opinion on who should be Coach of the Year between Kevin Stefanski, D'Amico Ryan, and Dan Campbell.
I think this is a great topic to talk about because honestly, I haven't thought about it a lot recently. I mean, there's so many. I do enjoy. It's really telling when there's a lot of different teams in the playoffs. Obviously, the one that jumps out at me is the Texans. Because considering last year they were one of the worst teams, last couple of seasons actually, and now they're hosting a playoff game. So I think D'Amico Ryan's is definitely up there. Kevin Stefanski, Browns head coach, right? So I think the job he's done in season is phenomenal, because coming in the season, they had, Deshaun Watson, big paycheck, Nick Chubb, their star running back, possibly one of the best running backs in the NFL right now. And they both get hurt out for the season, so a lot of Browns fans, including myself as well. I thought the Browns season was over. I thought it was done. And then Joe Flacco comes off of his couch, and plays like he's 23 and he's trying to get his first Super Bowl. So, I mean, the job he's done and been able to get his players playing week in and week out has been incredible. And they're now, I think, one of the scariest teams to play in the playoffs. Great defense, great offense. And then Dan Campbell, obviously, he's the one I think is the most popular right now because you see so many of his clips, like his locker room speeches and, his big muscles and all that. Dan Campbell, one of the best motivators in the entire league. But I feel like I just saw your one of the best motivating coaches in the entire league. And this Detroit Lions team, 12 wins is the most they've ever had in a season ever. The Detroit Lions have never had 12 wins in the regular season. That's a franchise record. And, I mean, to do that as a head coach in your second season, I mean, that's incredible. So, I personally, the person I would take, these are all great candidates. If I had to rank them, are we ranking them or are we saying just who we think would win?
Just say who y'all think should win.
Okay. So, who I think should win, I don't know. I gotta go to Mika Ryans. When will this award be decided after the playoffs, or when will it be?
Well, I think it's decided after the playoffs, but they just base it off of regular season.
Pro Bowl weekend. It's Pro Bowl weekend.
So I'm gonna have to go with D'Amico Ryans. Just where they were last year in terms of talent wise, and 3-13, dead last, worst record in the entire NFL. Actually, worse than the Chicago Bears, who finished 3-14 last year. Worse than the Arizona Cardinals, who finished 4-13 last year. They were 3-13 and 1. Obviously, they had a tie. But the Texans, the job that D'Amico has done, obviously, draft picks were great, outstanding. CJ Stroud and Will Anderson Jr. have both balled out this year. But I got to go D'Amico Ryans. Just the stuff that he's done on a team that nobody thought would be in the position they are right now at the beginning of the season.
A lot of people predicted him to go I think it was 2-15. I think it was
exactly. Yeah,
like the Panthers.
Because
that's really great. We're gonna go to the Loser Bowl.
Dang, that was a shot. But
let's go to the Toilet Bowl.
But I'll finish it off with this. I mean, people were obviously understandable to predict them going that because you're either starting Davis Mills, who plays like he's a Walmart worker. Respectfully. And then you're starting a rookie quarterback, which, how many rookie quarterbacks besides, Cam Newton, Andrew Luck? I saw a graphic they showed during the Colts game, and it was like how many single season passing yards. He's close to beating Andrew Luck for the most single season, the rookie passing yards in your rookie season. Sorry, I jumbling my words. But
CJ Stroud definitely there's no doubt if he doesn't win rookie of the year, it's over.
It's him or Puka Nacua, which I'll get to, him or Puka Nacua, 100%. But last thing I'm gonna say is D'Amico Ryans. I think he's my pick. Reese, who do you think?
Honestly, I would have to say it's Dan Campbell because the Lions really have never. They've only made the playoffs I think once, and they lost in the first round. So honestly, what?
They lost to the Cowboys.
Nice. No, honestly, I think the Lions, if the Lions make it far in the playoffs, I think that Dan Campbell will end up being coach of the year. But honestly, I do wish it is D'Amico Ryans, but I do think it would be Dan Campbell.
I will say this. The thing that separates D'Amico from from Dan Campbell, I think what separates D'Amico and Kevin Stefanski away from Dan Campbell is Dan Campbell hasn't gone through as many injuries and major injuries. Obviously, injured quarterback is the big one. CJ Stroud, big games. Last couple of weeks, the Titans game. You're starting Case Keenum, who I think is 34 right now.
Led the Vikings to the divisional round.
Hey, no need to bring that up. But no,
Six down the sideline. Oh my gosh! Touchdown Vikings.
Okay, but you're starting Case Keenum.
It's a Minneapolis miracle.
All right, but what separates Stefanski and D'Amico from Dan Campbell, in my opinion, is injuries. And then what separates D'Amico from Kevin Stefanski is obviously what you started with at the beginning of the year, or even just what he came in during the offseason, what he started out with and where he is at right now. So give me D'Amico Ryans.
Stefanski, I like what he's done, but honestly, I just think that's because Joe Flacco for some reason had steroids pumped in him.
He's decided to be the next coming of Christ, coming off his couch.
Yeah, he literally that's something off of a video game. You'd get somebody in a Madden free agent thing and
that's gonna be a storyline in Madden 24, Madden 25.
Yeah,
they're gonna edit that into it.
All I'm gonna say is that we all disagree because my coach of the year is Kevin Stefanski with everything. If you are a good coach, you can overcome obstacles, and that's exactly what he's done. Seemed like everything was going wrong. Their record wasn't the best. But now they finished the 5 seed. They have a chance to prove themselves at the Texans. I really think the Browns at Texas game decides who the coach of the year is. Whoever wins that will win coach of the year. But Give me Kevin Stefanski. Great coach, great guy, has gone through a lot in Cleveland. Cleveland, kind of like Detroit, poverty program, never really done anything ever good.
Yeah, we remember the years they went like 0-15, like 3
only
years
good
in a
thing
row.
that's come out of Cleveland is LeBron James, and everyone hates him. So give me Kevin Stefanski winning Coach of the Year. But now we're going to move to everyone's least favorite segment, and we're going to see what our records are. We're going to move to Max's Prize Picks.
What's mad?
Not sponsored by the app Prize Picks, it's time for Max's Prize Picks.
Welcome back to the Tigers Den podcast. I don't know about least favorite segment. I hope Taylor didn't mean that, but we're going to go and move into the Prize Picks tonight. We got 6 games on the slate. Currently, the Buffalo Bills and the Dolphins are in the fourth quarter as we're picking this. If that game ends by the time we get into some of the later picks, then we'll pick the wild card games that makes. But as of right now, we're going to pick 2 college basketball games coming up, an NBA game on Wednesday, 2 NFL wild card games that are already set to happen, and then the national championship. So we'll go and get it started. But let me introduce our special guest picker for this week. What can I say about him? He used to play rec basketball. He's a senior at Auburn High School. I'm trying to say sports experience.
Rob used to be on the golf team.
Yeah, I played on the golf team.
He used to be on the golf team, next Tiger Woods. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Grayson Stokes. Grayson, how are you doing today?
I've been doing good until this, so,
Well, yeah, sorry you had to ruin the party, but,
No, all good, man.
Did you play Fortnite today?
I have not played Fortnite, no. I'm going to, though.
Well, we're going to go and get started with our first matchup of the day, and it's going to be a basketball matchup, college basketball, that's going to be taking place on Wednesday, and it's going to be number 11 Oklahoma at TCU. Oklahoma coming in this game, they'll be 13-1. TCU will be 11-3. It's set for an 8 p.m. tip on ESPN2. There's no betting line for this game, but right now it says TCU actually has a 63.7% chance to upset the Sooners at home. I'm interested by this matchup because Oklahoma, they've won so many games in a row. Obviously, their only loss is to North Carolina, who we already established earlier during Top 10 is a very good team. But this TCU team, they've been kind of under the radar. I'm looking at their schedule right now. They got losses to Clemson, Nevada, and their most recent loss, obviously, to Kansas by 2 points. I'm going to go – you know what? Screw it. I'm going to go with the Horned Frogs to upset them at home. ESPN,
wait, Max, you didn't introduce our records, bro.
Oh, shoot. Thanks for reminding me. Whoopsie.
Oopsies.
But we'll go and get started with our standings. Sorry about that, guys. But special guest picker standings, we've had 2 special guest pickers on the show. And our first one, Aiden Treadwell, he went 2-4 overall. And then Connor Davis, our second special guest picker, I thought he beat that, but he actually didn't. He went 1-4-1. And
wait, what?
1-4-1.
So let
How
me
did you go
explain.
1-4-1?
Let me explain it to y'all. We picked a Premier League game, right?
Oh, there it is.
And it finished with a tie. So,
bro, that's why we never
count
pick
it as
soccer.
a loss.
That's why we're never picking soccer ever.
Yeah. Soccer's banned from the show. So, but yeah, Connor is he finished at 1-4-1. Now to our standings. Taylor, he's back on top. He went 4-1-1 that week. So now he's 56-45-1 all time. And then me and Reese are actually tied right now for that second place spot. I went 1-4-1 that week, had a terrible week. I won't do that ever again, possibly. And then Reese went 2-3-1. So now we are both tied at 55-46-1 coming into this game. We'll see if our special guest picker Grayson can, obviously beat Connor and Aiden. In my opinion, shouldn't be tough, but we'll see what happens. But I'm gonna go with TCU. I think that home court advantage. They'll be going crazy in there. The Hypnotoad. I know they do that for football. Don't know if they do it for basketball. But you look at this team. I know one of their big transfers is Eddie Lankin. He came over from or actually no, that's the guy who used to play for him. I'm sorry. they got some good players like Emmanuel Miller averaging 16.3 a game. And so give me the Horned Frogs winning at home. And I didn't mention this, Taylor, but we also predict scores. You can just throw a score out there. It won't have any impact on your record. Give me TCU to win this game at home 81-77. Now, Grayson, who do you think is going to win between the Sooners and the Horned Frogs?
Since you picked them, I'm going to go with the Sooners. They're actually ranked,
Yeah.
And they're simply the better team. They have one of my favorite players on their team, Reed Lovelace. He's a guard.
Oh,
So, I predict the score is going to be 77-66. Sooners.
Oh, shoot.
Bro, Reed Lovelace graduated.
Oh, shoot. I'm looking at an outdated roster then.
Oh, shit.
But
Wait.
Reese Lovelace.
Reed Lovelace?
No, he didn't. He has not graduated.
Bro, he doesn't even. Wait, does he play?
I think he's on the bench.
All right, well,
Bro plays 1.8 minutes per game.
Hey, he's a role player, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
He's great on the bench, great for morale.
But shoots 50% from free throw.
Buddy is a walk-on.
Well, good pick, Grayson.
Hey, he averages 0.2 points in 2023, 2024.
I mean, for 1.8 minutes,
that's what we're talking about.
Not terrible, but
he's a great-looking guy, beautiful-looking guy.
Bro, he's 5'11", 135.
He's built just like me. I mean, he's beautiful. He shows that even a smaller guy.
135?
Yes.
I weigh more than him, and I'm taller than him.
Grayson, how did you find out about that?
He's just one of my guys, dude.
Bro, he averages 0.2 points, 0.2 rebounds, and 0.2.
Bro averages 1 minute a game.
And I've been there for him for all those points and minutes that he's had.
Taylor, his most minutes are 3 minutes versus Mississippi Valley State.
See, he lasts longer than I do, so good stuff to him.
Well, good pick, Grayson. I don't know about the reasoning, but Reese, what's your pick?
I'm gonna go with Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma, they've been playing pretty good this season, so I got Oklahoma winning this one 75-55 at TCU.
I'm going to have to disagree with Reese and Grayson.
Okay,
Max, because
you don't have Reed Lovelace.
Okay, this TCU team loves to drive into the lane. They love to get physical. They love to get in the paint. And the last time Oklahoma went against a team like that was against UNC, and they got blown out by 12. Armando Bacot killed Oklahoma in the paint. Oklahoma just doesn't have that big body in the center position just like the TCU Horned Frogs do. They actually don't have a single center on their roster. So watch out for this TCU team. Like Max said, led by Emmanuel Miller, the star forward for the Horned Frogs. Give me the Horned Frogs winning 74-65. I just got to go with TCU.
I mean, first time in forever, me and Taylor agreed on something, so it must be right. But now we're going to move on to our next pick, another college basketball game on the same night. Wednesday should be a huge night for all y'all college basketball fans. And this one's actually a rivalry, and it's going to be North Carolina at NC State. North Carolina coming to this game ranked 8th. They are 11-3 on the year. NC State also ranked 11-3 on the year. Their last loss is actually to Tennessee. They're on a 4-game win streak. It's at NC State. No betting odds for this game. Yeah, I don't know what that was. Sounded like moan mixed with a snore. But North Carolina coming to this game, 63.6% chance to win according to ESPN analytics. I'm actually going to go with the ranked team on this one. I'm going to go with North Carolina. I mean, watching them at B-Dubs, against Clemson on the road, they just proved to me that not only are they very talented, they're always very talented, but they're also very experienced this year. And I talked about this earlier in Top 10. I mean, they're not usually this experienced. Them, Kentucky, Kansas, they usually get great recruiting classes, great freshmen that are usually one and dones. But Armando Bacot and RJ Davis deciding to stay, they'll have a huge night. And give me the Tar Heels beating NC State. I'm going to say this is a super high-scoring game. I'm going to say 86-82. North Carolina wins on the road.
Wow.
Grayson, who do you got?
See, I'm gonna go with the Wolfpack
Okay.
as the Tar Heels. What does that even mean? So I'm also
Okay.
not a big North Carolina fan. I don't have much reasoning for my choice.
Bro, who's their demon on the court? I think it's Creighton Lebo.
Well, I'll tell you who's not. I'll tell you who's not a demon on the court. Zayden High.
Oh God.
On the Tar Heels.
Mm.
What?
Let's see the Wolfpack. Let's see the Wolfpack's roster. There's some dude from France on there, so he's good.
Yeah, it's
Bonjour,
let's be like Victor Wembanyama. So.
There's one dude from Basham
they have
Brown.
Napoleon on their team.
Well, what?
Muhammad Daira, y'all can't beat Muhammad. I think it's impossible to do that actually. So,
well,
wait, what do you be averaging,
millions of people?
He averages.
He'd be offending millions of people, billions of people.
He averages 5.
They're picking against him. He's 6'10", so he'll step on you, Max.
That guy is from France.
He averages 5 points.
Just look at his face, bro. No shame to Muhammad, but nah, that man is not a hooper.
Bro's not locked in. But anyways,
Onwards.
Once again, another great pick by Mr. Grayson Stokes.
Let me throw the score out there.
Oh yeah.
I'm picking the Wolfpack. I'm actually thinking this will be a lower scoring game. So I'm picking the Wolfpack will win 70-68.
Okay,
Good
pick. Reese, who you got?
I'm gonna go with the Wolfpack because I don't like North Carolina. Never have, never will. And I'm gonna go Wolfpack. I'm gonna say 90-83. High scoring game.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to disagree with Grayson and Reese again and agree
He's
with
Mr. Frenchie.
Of course.
Because NC State, when they play good teams, they don't perform well, and they don't perform well at home either. They actually perform better on the road.
Yeah, but with
North Carolina's
Frenchie,
gonna go in there.
with Frenchie out there, they're gonna
when
win.
I'm talking, Reese.
Taylor, you must not like French people.
RJ Davis is going to absolutely ball out. He's going to put up 35. Give me the Tar Heels winning 90-65.
You're offending Muhammad right here.
Good pick, Grayson.
Muhammad.
Or not Grayson, Taylor. Now we're going to move to the NBA. And this is a game that Taylor actually brought up to me when we were watching all those games at B-Dubs. He said, Pelicans Warriors, who you got? And I'm honestly, let's go ahead and pick it right now. Pelicans are playing at the Warriors also on Wednesday. Wednesday night is stacked with games. This game is on ABC at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. Pelicans are coming in this game 22-15. Just got a big win against the Kings today. The Warriors are coming in this game 17-19. You know, Draymond Green is back though for the Warriors.
Might swing somebody.
So I've heard. So, but you know, coming in this game. The betting line, there's no betting line on this game either. But right now it has Match Predictor. It has Pelicans with a 50.1% chance to win this game. So pretty even game.
Isn't Zion hurt?
Zion is out for the game. So is Jose Alvarado. So
he probably ate the team.
Well, here's also
bro went over the weight limit on his contract.
You know, that's actually he's actually got a weight limit clause on his contract. That's so sad. But,
they might need Dyson Daniels to save him, bro. Dyson Daniels averages 5.9 points per game, so you know.
Yeah, Dyson's a dog, but you know, y'all know I'm a Pelicans fan, and this is no bias, but I'm gonna go with the Pelicans winning this game on the road. Give me the Pelicans. Chris Paul right now is listed as out as well for the Warriors. Key role player for them. So give me the Pelicans. Brandon Ingram's going to have a great game. CJ McCollum. Give me the Pelicans winning on the road. I'm going to say super high scoring as well for this one. I'm going to say 121-113. Pelicans win on the road.
Max, what about Matt Ryan?
What?
What about Matt Ryan?
Matt Ryan? Hey, man. He's good on the Pelicans, not on the Falcons. That's what I'll say. But Grayson, who you got winning this game?
So I'm going to have to agree with you. I'm going with the Pelicans. I think they're going all out this game. You I know they're coming into this very hungry, as Zion probably ate all of their pregame meal, so they're gonna be real hungry for this win. And I'm predicting Pelicans win, and I'm also predicting that late in the third quarter, Draymond Green gets a technical and thrown out the game for actually snapping Brandon Ingram's left leg in half while in the post.
Zion will
My
eat him.
score prediction for this is going to be Pelicans by 10, 120, 110.
Good pick.
Reese,
who you got win this game?
All right, I'm going to go with the Pelicans here, even though I do like the Warriors. I'm going to go with the Pelicans because I think Zion will eat Steph Curry. And,
Bro's just trying to get some food, bro.
Oh, yeah, he could. Steph Curry's Hall of Fame career's over after that one. But I think the Pelicans win this one. I'm going to say 121-90.
Now, I also
got
throw
agree
in.
with all three of y'all because Zion's not playing their second leading scorer. I just don't believe in the Pelicans without Zion. And the Warriors beat the Pelicans at the Pelicans 130-102 in October. So we've seen the head-to-head. We've seen that the Warriors are a better team than the Pelicans. Draymond Green coming back is going to be a huge piece for this game. The Warriors are kind of in a skid right now, kind of on a losing streak, but they'll get it done today or Wednesday against the Pelicans because Steph Curry will put up about 40. So give me the Warriors winning 130-125.
No, the Warriors are coming into this demoralized after their loss to the Nuggets.
And then they will also get eaten when they come off the team bus.
All right, well, that's going to be a good
Absolutely
one Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Central Time, like I said. And now we're going to move into what everybody's excited about, NFL Wild Card. I mean, as we're recording this, when y'all are listening to this, the entire slate has already been announced. But as we're recording this, Bills and Miami is still going on right now, although it's looking like the Bills are going to come away with it. But there's only 2 games that we're able to pick right now because we know the times. And we're going to start off with the Browns at the Texans. This game is actually on Saturday at 3:30 p.m. On NBC. The Browns come into this game as the 5 seed, 11-6. The Texans come into this game as the 4 seed at 10-7. The betting odds right now open up at Cleveland -2, and they don't have any percentage odds for this game. I'm assuming they'd be on Cleveland's side since that's where Vegas stands right now. Looking at the injury list for this game, there's not a lot for either team, so we should get the best out of both of these teams. And there's just something about Joe Flacco that I just trust. I got to admit, I mean, like a guy coming off of his couch, he has a wife and kids at home. He's got to pay the mortgage and all that stuff, pay the rent. And, he's coming into this Browns team that, like we said earlier, lost Nick Chubb, lost Deshaun Watson, the master massager. And, and he has absolutely balled out, I mean, he's not playing soft. He's playing hard. And he's going to come out here on the road against Houston.
And Max, what was that? The master massager?
Not playing hard. What?
Well, give me the Browns and Joe Flacco sending the Texans back home to their couch, and give me the Browns winning this one. I'm gonna say there's a lot of fireworks in this one as well. Both these offenses love to score. Both these defenses. Browns have a way better defense. Give me this one actually big, 31-20. The Browns win on the road. Grayson, who you got?
I'm going to pass it to Reese as I'm still trying to figure it out.
Oh, got you.
All right, I'm going to go with the Texans, honestly, because the last time the Browns and Texans played, Case Keenum was quarterback, and we know that guy, only thing he's done right is beat the Saints. But, I think the Texans win, CJ Stroud pops off, and they'll advance to the divisional round.
I can go ahead. I'm going to have to go with the Browns. As they are out of Ohio.
Oh, God.
And I think that's kind of an unfair advantage going towards them. And the Texans, they're 10-7, while the Browns are 11-6. So I got the Browns.
Got you. Only the facts over
no
here.
Definitive score. I don't know.
Okay. Well, good pick.
I'm going to say this: the Browns cannot play away. They're 3-5 away. But the Texans have that home field advantage. It's going to be packed. first playoff game in Houston in a while since Deshaun Watson was on the team. Joe Flacco has been amazing, but I think the magic stops here, and C.J. Stroud continues why he's Offensive Rookie of the Year. And without Tank Dell, Nico Collins is going to have a huge game. Give me the Texans taking care of Myles Garrett and winning this game by a game-winning field goal.
All right,
17-14.
Now we're going to move on to the game on Sunday, and it's between the Packers and the Cowboys. The Packers coming into this game as the 7 seed, Cowboys the 2 seed. Packers are 9-8 this season. Cowboys finished the season at 12-5. The betting odds open for this game at Dallas minus 7.5, over under a 49.5. They don't have, a percentage like chance to win on ESPN yet. I'm assuming it would sway to the Cowboys' way. Some interesting injuries to look at. Christian Watson, he was out today. It'll be interesting to see if he's able to come back next week because that would be a huge loss. Also, Romeo Doubs also got injured. If both of those guys are out, I don't know who Jordan Love will have to throw it to. And then for the Cowboys, Zach Martin right now is listed as questionable. Tyler Smith as well. And Stephon Gilmore. So, a lot of potential, changes throughout the week in terms of injuries. But, I know this is going to upset Taylor,
Bro, Max, there's no way you're picking. Oh, my. Max with another losing record for the third week in a row.
You know what I said for the I said for the Browns? I have a certain amount of trust in Joe Flacco for their team.
Max,
I don't
got to be kidding me.
I don't trust is Dak Prescott in the playoffs. Mr. First round exit, bounced out in the first round, sent home, is gonna flop in this game. I know he's had such a great season. I'm happy for him. He's played great. But give me the Packers and give me some love. Jordan Love, he's going to come into this game. He's going to ball out. He's going to have, 300 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. And give me the Packers winning this one. I'm going to say 27-24 on the road and beating the Cowboys. And once again, another first-round exit for them boys. Grayson, who you got?
Yep. I got the Cowboys easily. It's at the Cowboys, and currently they're 8-0. The Cowboys are 8-0 at home. They're on a 2-game winning streak. They've got Dak Prescott, daddy. And I simply cannot see the Packers winning at the Cowboys. The Cowboys have had a great season this year. The score, I've got to go Cowboys 41, Packers 10.
Jeez. 10. Okay. Reese, who you got?
Obviously the Cowboys because Dak Prescott's not selling this one. So Jordan Love's all right, but the Cowboys are way better. CeeDee Lamb, I'm predicting CeeDee Lamb gets 7 catches for almost 200 yards, and the Cowboys win. I'm gonna say 51-17.
All I'm going to say is that Max picked the Packers to make me mad. The Cowboys at home beat the Jets by 20, beat the Patriots by 35, beat the Rams by 23, beat the Eagles by 20, beat the Commanders, beat the Giants by a bunch, and beat the Lions. The Cowboys at home are just a different team. That's why it was such a big deal for them to get that home field advantage. And like Reese said, CeeDee Lamb is the best receiver in NFL right now. He's going to have a huge game, probably about 14 catches, and the Cowboys are going to easily move on and demolish the Packers. I'm going to go with Grayson's score, 41-10. Go Cowboys.
There we go.
All right, well, we'll see what happens next week in that game. And now we're going to move into the game I previewed earlier, the game that y'all are all excited for. We are all excited for here at the Tigers Den. Washington versus Michigan, the national championship. It all comes down to this. Washington coming in as the number 2 team, Michigan coming in as the number 1 team. Both teams 14-0 coming in this game, 6:30 p.m. on ESPN. The line coming in this game, I mentioned it earlier, Michigan minus 5.5, over under a 56.5. Right now, Michigan also 74.3% chance to win this game according to ESPN Analytics. But, I talked about it earlier, and Taylor already knows who I'm going to pick because I've talked about it with him. I'm not sure how Michigan is going
Just to make me mad again, he's going to pick Washington.
I don't know how Michigan is going to consistently stop Washington's offense unless they have a man on the other side of the sideline, which is completely possible. I don't know how they're going to stop Washington's offense. I trust Michigan's defense and I trust Washington's offense. The tough part is they got to go up against each other. And I trust Michael Penix Jr., the guy who's been in college since the blues were, the top type of music. So give me Washington, the Huskies. Every time everybody doubts them, they come through. And give me the Huskies to win this game. I'm going to say it's another close call for them, in the fashion it's always been. But I think it's a super high-scoring game, and I think it's 34-28 is the final score. Give me the Huskies to beat Michigan. Oh, 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 oh. Grayson, who you got?
I got Michigan.
Bro is acoustic.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a restarted take, but I am taking Michigan in this game. We just watched them beat Alabama, which I don't think Washington could have done. They do have the sign stealing, which, puts them ahead in this game. It elevates them to another level. Because if you're not cheating, then you're not trying.
That's the main thing I'm worried about, I'll admit.
Yep. And plus, Michigan, we saw how good their defensive line is, how they shut down Alabama, made Alabama look like fools, So I'm taking Michigan. I'm thinking 30-24.
All right. Reese, who you got?
Michigan didn't make it this far just to lose. Michigan's going to win. And I think they're going to win by a game-winning field goal, 38-35.
Frick Washington. Washington has escaped in every single game against teams weaker than them. They're going up against the big dog in the Michigan Wolverines. Watch out for Roman Wilson and J.J. McCarthy, that connection, like Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. It's going to be dynamic. They're going to have a huge game. And Michael Penix is going to throw about 2 interceptions against this stacked Michigan secondary. He's done it all year. He's going to do it again. Michael Penix Jr. is going to choke with those interceptions. And Michigan is going to win by a touchdown in overtime by Blake Corum, the running back. 38-31.
Well, that's going to do it for Prize Picks. Hopefully all these games are great games, entertaining to watch, especially the national championship. Like Taylor said, he said an overtime win. I hope it goes to overtime. But that's going to do it for today's Tigers Den podcast. Big thank you to Grayson for coming onto the show and being our special guest picker. Thank you so much. And then, but yeah, that's going to do it for the Tigers Den. We hope y'all enjoyed. Be sure to tune in to the Play Colors podcast. That'll be releasing tomorrow. We got a very special guest who came off a big win this past Friday. And then be sure to tune in to all of other AHS Mass Media stuff. Obviously, we got Opelika. You thought that Central basketball broadcast was good? We got Opelika coming up this week. Be sure to tune into that. But with that being said, thank y'all for listening, and see y'all.
Thanks for listening to this week's edition of the Tigers Den podcast. New episodes dropping every Monday at 3:30 p.m. Central. Also be sure to check out our other podcast, Play Callers, where we interview a coach from Auburn High School football. Be sure to check out those episodes dropping every Tuesday at 3:30 p.m. Central on all platforms.